Panic stop number 1.
Hey everybody, I'm Dan Bizonsky with Dynamic Friction Company.
And I'm Dino Crescentini.
And this is the first in a series of videos that we call 60 to 0, where we're gonna put our pads, like the Ultimate Duty Performance Pad, up against the original OE pads on this 2018 Ford F150 truck.
What's unique about this application though is that it's a 2018 Ford F150, but it's been raised, and it also features much larger diameter wheels than stock. So this puts extra stress and strain on the stock brakes, and we're going to see how the stock brakes can match up in a 60 to 0 relative to our Ultimate Duty Performance pads. Am I talking? Okay.
All right, what we're doing now is getting the brakes up to temperature by doing several continuous panic stops to see what we can do to get the brakes to fade. Right now we've got the original brake pads on this 2018 F150 lifted truck. We're gonna get them up to temperature and then measure the temperature. And then from there start measuring some stopping distances and see how the distances are affected once you start passing the brake fade resistance of the original pads. There you go. Panic stop number 1. First stop successful.
They've got a brake test on those things.
So the truck is now cool and we're ready to take off the OE pads so that we can inspect them and see just how they fared after these 10 panic stops that we did. Show us, Dino, what do we got?
So, wow, well, I can tell you right now, these things are really worn out. So, wow. Now these pads had some wear in the beginning. They were about 2 millimeters. The overall thickness is about 18.8 millimeters. They were at about 16.8 millimeters, and they are nowhere near that now. So
let's see.
We want to measure that.
Wow. Oh my
Wow,
God, look at, there's nothing left.
So in 10 stops, okay, so these are 11.2 millimeters thick. So we lost just over 5 millimeters of friction material in 10 panic stops. Okay, that's crazy. Now, they did hold up. I mean, the car did stop. I should say the truck did stop, but it took everything out of these brake pads. And again, these ceramic pads are not meant for that type of service. And this is very typical of what would happen to a ceramic pad. I mean, they reach a certain threshold of heat and they just wear down like an eraser. So you can imagine 10 stops. It took us what? How many minutes to do those stops?
15 minutes.
Max.
Yeah. 15
minutes max between the turning around and all that, and we lost more than 5 millimeters of friction. So,
so if you can imagine, you know, you go out on a trip with your family, you're hauling the toy hauler, and after every trip, you're gonna have to replace these, or after every second trip, you know, you're gonna keep going through your pads. And that's really where our mofos are gonna shine. I mean, they should last a lot longer than the OE pads.
Yeah, these are cracked, these are crystallized, chunks are missing. They've lived a hard 15-minute life.
But what's important, they did stop the vehicle. They did stop the vehicle.
Yes, they did.
But again, they didn't fare as well for the remaining of their lifetime.
I'm guessing 2 more stops would have been into the metal.
Really?
At the most, yeah.
Wow.
For sure.
Wow.
So now what we'll do, we'll replace the brakes. We'll put the Ultimate Performance pads on there, and we'll do the 60 to 0 with those and see how those fare.
Let's do it.
All right. Okay, so we got the mofos in here.
Yeah?
The Ultimate Duty Performance.
Are they broken in?
Well, I think they're. We're gonna see if we're gonna break them in a little bit, and then we're gonna do our 10 stops.
So while we get
they feel broken in.
Yeah?
Yeah, they're good.
All right, so stop number 1. Wow. What a difference.
Yeah, it was pretty crazy, huh?
Wow. And it felt so much more controlled.
Yeah, well, that's the first stop, though.
Yeah.
So I think what we're going to find is, because they're not designed for that. They're not designed for repeated 60 to 0. We're going to find this product being more performance-oriented with better wear rates at the end of the 10 stop, which we'll find out as soon as we come off.
Got it.
I really wasn't expecting this much of a difference because stock Ford F-150 brakes are great and great in most conditions, but this just underscores what we've done, what we tried to do and actually succeeded in doing in terms of providing that additional performance, especially in a vehicle that's been raised and with bigger tires, and which, those things create extra stress on the brake system. But what's amazing to me, not just the fact that the stopping distances are shorter, is that the consistency. You could see that the range, in fact, if I get a tape measure here, let's look at the range within the 10 stops. So what do you got from beginning to end? What do you got? So we're talking basically just under 23 feet is the range of the 10 stops with the Ultimate Duty. And then that's pretty tight. And the range with the stock pads, not only let's go on the first line, the first white line. .39 feet. So a range of 10 stops within, 23 feet, and a range of 10 stops within 39 feet. But the biggest difference is from the red mark, the last red mark,
To the first.
to the last white chalk mark or blue chalk mark for the stock brakes, we're talking extra distance of 36.5 feet.
All right,
Okay,
so what are we going to do now?
So now we're going to take them off and we're going to measure the wear and compare to the wear the stock pads. The stock pads basically wore 8 millimeters in 10 stops. So we're going to see how much these wore in 10 stops.
All right, let's get to it.
Okay.
All right, so after another intense emergency stopping braking session, we let the car cool, we let this truck cool, and now we're ready to see how the MOFO pads fared, I'm sorry, that's the internal name.
You mean maximum operating friction output?
Yeah.
That's what that means.
Officially the Ultimate Duty pads, to see how they fared with our 60 to 0 stop test. So let's get right into it, take them off, measure the wear, and see what else we could find as to the results from our pads.
So we already told you how they performed, which was incredible, considering they were going up against some very, very good stock pads. Right now we're going to look at the wear, and just looking here, it doesn't look like there was much wear at all. We're going to measure it, though. We do know they started out, like I said, at 18.8 millimeters. I think I said it. And let's see where they're at. Okay. Wow.
All right, how do we do?
Well, let's see. They look basically brand new. Actually, the rotor, too, is in pretty good condition considering what it went through. So I'm going to measure these things now. As I said, they started out at 18.8 millimeters. With stock pads in 10 stops lost more than 5 millimeters. And these are 18.2 millimeters, so just over a half a millimeter in loss, performing the exact same type of braking that the stock brakes lost over 5 millimeters of friction of. I'd say that's a really good testament, and they look
great. There's no
they look great.
disintegration.
There's no the other pads were cracked. They were disintegrating. These are intact. These are ready to go do a lot more battle.
There's no grooving, nothing.
No, the
They
rotor
look great. No glazing either.
the rotor's smooth. Like I said, these things are ready to be reinstalled and give a lot more life of very high performance service.
Well, that's why I call them the mofos.
Yeah.
Or, sorry, ultimate duty performance. So thank you very much for joining us in this install of our ultimate duty performance pads. We put it to the test. I think we got good results.
I think so.
Thank you very much for joining us. Visit us at dynamicfriction.com.